Across Europe, abandoned castles are finding new life in the hands of ordinary buyers. Buying a castle used to sound like something only royalty or billionaires could do, but today, restoring one has become a dream for many. What many people don't realize is that America has its own castles that are still alive today. Some remain private homes, others continue as family estates, and each one has a story unlike any other. Before we begin, it's worth pointing out that America doesn't have true medieval castles. Instead, these are historic castle estates inspired by the great fortresses and manor houses of Europe, many of which are still lived in or actively used today. Number 8. Carrollcliffe. Looking at Carrollcliffe today, it's hard to believe this castle has stood above the Hudson River for well over a century. Built on a hill overlooking Tarrytown, New York, the 45-room estate became one of the area's most impressive homes. Today, it's also the last surviving castle from a time when Tarrytown was known for its grand castle estates. Construction began in 1897 for Brigadier General Howard Carroll, who worked with architect Henry Franklin Kilburn to bring his vision to life. It took more than a decade to complete, with more than 100 craftsmen helping build everything down to the finest details that gave the home the look and feel of an old European fortress. After the Carroll family sold the estate in 1941, the castle entered a new chapter. Its new owners, Emerson and Ruth Axe, continued living there while also running their investment company from inside the castle, earning it the nickname Axe Castle. During World War II, its tall tower was even used as a civil defense observation post because of its commanding view over the surrounding area. In the years that followed, Carrollcliffe was carefully restored and transformed into a luxury hotel, allowing guests to experience life inside a real American castle while preserving much of its original character. Although the hotel is currently closed, the castle remains protected as a historic landmark, ensuring that one of America's most distinctive castle homes continues to stand more than 125 years after construction first began. But as impressive as Carrollcliffe is, the next castle has a history that's even older. And unlike this one, people still call it home. Number 7. Bishop's Palace. If there was ever a castle that proved its strength, it would be Bishop's Palace in Galveston, Texas. Built between 1887 and 1893 for attorney and businessman Colonel Walter Gresham, the 19,000-square-foot mansion was designed by renowned architect Nicholas J. Clayton. Its carved stone exterior, stained glass windows, bronze dragons, and towering Victorian design made it one of the grandest homes on the Texas Gulf Coast. Just a few years after it was completed, the castle faced its greatest test. In 1900, the Great Galveston Hurricane became the deadliest natural disaster in American history, destroying much of the city and claiming thousands of lives. Remarkably, Bishop's Palace remained standing, and the Gresham family opened their home to hundreds of survivors seeking shelter. That incredible story helped cement the castle's place in American history. In 1923, the property became the residence of the Roman Catholic Bishop of Galveston, giving it the name Bishop's Palace that it still carries today. Now recognized as one of the 100 most significant buildings in the United States by the American Institute of Architects, it continues to welcome visitors more than 130 years after construction began, preserving both its outstanding architecture and the story of the disaster it survived. The next castle may not have survived a deadly hurricane, but it has preserved something even rarer: the vision of one extraordinary man who built it almost entirely by hand. Number 6. Fonthill Castle. Unlike many castles that were built to show off wealth, Fonthill Castle was built to bring one man's imagination to life. Around 1908 and 1912, archaeologist, historian, and tilemaker Henry Chapman Mercer designed and built this unusual castle in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, as both his home and a place to display his handcrafted ceramic tiles and treasured collections. With 44 rooms and a mix of medieval, Gothic, and Byzantine styles, it became one of the most distinctive homes in America. Mercer approached the project in an unusual way. Instead of designing the outside first, he planned every room before shaping the castle around them. Built almost entirely from poured reinforced concrete, the castle was well ahead of its time, and Mercer personally directed a small team of workers throughout the 4-year construction. The result was a home unlike any other, filled from floor to ceiling with colorful handcrafted tiles created during the American arts and crafts movement. When Mercer died in 1930, he left Fonthill Castle in trust as a museum, while giving his longtime housekeeper, Laura Swain, the right to continue living there for the rest of her life. Today, the castle is a National Historic Landmark operated by the Bucks County Historical Society, welcoming thousands of visitors each year while preserving both Mercer's exceptional home and the creative vision that inspired it. Some castles preserve history. One has been creating new history with the same family for decades. Number 5. Hammond Castle. Standing on a rocky cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, Hammond Castle looks as though it has been watching over the coastline for hundreds of years. But it was actually built between 1926 and 1929 by inventor John Hayes Hammond Jr., who wanted a home that also served as a laboratory, museum, and showcase for the incredible collection of European artifacts he had gathered over the years. Inspired by medieval and Renaissance architecture, Hammond filled the castle with everything from Roman sculptures and Gothic arches to centuries-old doorways and stained glass. Craftsmen even aged new materials by hand so they would blend with the genuine antiques. The castle also reflected Hammond's playful personality, featuring hidden passageways, a courtyard fountain that concealed a swimming pool, and even an indoor system that could create rain and fog for his guests. Today, Hammond Castle operates as a museum, preserving both the inventor's remarkable collection and the home he imagined nearly a century ago. Sitting high above Gloucester Harbor, it remains one of America's most distinctive castles, where history, architecture, and innovation all come together in one unforgettable place. Not every castle on this list was built to impress visitors. One became the lifelong home of the very people who dreamed it into existence. Number 4. Castle Post. At first glance, Castle Post looks like a castle that's been standing in the Kentucky countryside for centuries. In reality, it's one of the newest castles on this list. Construction began in 1969 after Rex Martin returned from a trip to Europe, inspired to build his own castle on more than 100 acres of rolling bluegrass farmland. But before the dream could be finished, the project came to an unexpected halt when the couple divorced, leaving the massive stone castle abandoned for decades. For years, the unfinished castle became a local landmark, with rumors that it might one day become a museum, a themed attraction, or something else entirely. Instead, businessman Thomas Post purchased the property and set out to finish what had been started. Even after a devastating fire damaged much of the castle during renovations in 2004, he refused to give up, rebuilding the structure and adding elegant interiors, a grand ballroom, a library, and beautifully landscaped gardens. Castle Post finally opened in 2008 as a luxury hotel and event venue, giving the once-forgotten castle a new purpose. Today, guests can spend the night inside one of America's most recognizable modern castles, proving that even an unfinished dream can eventually become a lasting landmark. Sometimes the best castles aren't built from the finest new materials, but from old pieces given an entirely new purpose. Number 3. Wings Castle. Like Carrollcliffe, Wings Castle is located in New York's scenic Hudson Valley, but that's where the similarities end. Instead of being built by a wealthy businessman or designed by a famous architect, this remarkable castle has been the lifelong passion project of artists Peter and Tony Ann Wing. Construction began in 1970, and more than 50 years later, they still call it home, while continuing to add new pieces to what they describe as a live-in art project. What makes Wings Castle even more unique is how it was built. Around 80 to 85% of the castle was created using recycled materials from old buildings, giving every room its own history. Antique doors, stained glass, reclaimed wood, and vintage collectibles fill the castle, turning it into both a home and a living museum. Over the years, its one-of-a-kind design has even been featured on television programs like Extreme Homes. Today, visitors can spend the night at the castle's bed and breakfast and experience the home exactly as its owners imagined it. More than half a century after construction began, Peter and Tony Wing are still adding to their dream, making this one of the few castles in America that continues to grow with the same family who started it. Not every castle has been built from the ground up. It brought part of Europe across the Atlantic, stone by stone. Number 2, Thornewood Castle. Hidden among towering fir trees, Thornewood Castle is one of the most authentic castle homes in America. Although completed in 1911, much of the estate is far older. Businessman Chester Thorne purchased a 400-year-old English manor, had it carefully dismantled, and shipped its bricks, oak paneling, stained glass windows, and other architectural pieces across the Atlantic to build his dream home. Working with architect Kirtland Kelsey Cutter, Thorne spent 3 years transforming those centuries-old materials into a stunning Tudor Gothic mansion with 54 rooms. The result was a castle unlike any other in the United States, blending genuine English craftsmanship with modern American construction. Today, Thornewood Castle welcomes guests as a boutique bed and breakfast, allowing visitors to stay inside a home whose story began on another continent more than 4 centuries ago. Next is one of the most extraordinary private estates America has ever built. Number 1. Hearst Castle. No American castle comes close to the scale and ambition of Hearst Castle. High above the California coastline in San Simeon, newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst spent nearly 3 decades turning his dream into reality. Working with renowned architect Julia Morgan, he created an estate he called La Cuesta Encantada, or the Enchanted Hill, transforming a hilltop ranch into one of the most extraordinary private homes ever built in the United States. Construction began in 1919 and continued for almost 30 years. Although never fully completed, the estate eventually grew to 165 rooms, surrounded by more than 120 acres of gardens, terraces, walkways, and breathtaking pools. Hearst also filled the castle with priceless art and antiques collected from around the world, including ancient Roman and Greek sculptures, Renaissance ceilings, and centuries-old European treasures, making the estate feel more like a royal palace than a private home. Hearst Castle became a gathering place for Hollywood stars, world leaders, and influential figures of its time, cementing its place in American history. Today, it stands as the country's most famous castle estate, welcoming visitors from around the world, while the surrounding ranch remains in Hearst family ownership. More than a century after construction began, no other American castle has matched its scale, beauty, or lasting legacy. If you love exploring extraordinary homes and historic estates, this next video is one you won't want to miss.